Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. Coming up, we find out about lorry driver shortage really making our area struggle. Richard Morris joins me to tell me what's going on in local politics, and my guest is Laura Griffin, who is doing something quite interesting for charity. Welcome to Estuary News, I'm Helen Barley. Now it's over to Richard Morris for the news headlines.
Figures released from the Road Haulage Association show that we are short of over 3,000 lorry and truck drivers in our region alone. Each year, 65 million tonnes of cargo pass through the Humber region. The director of BSB Transport in Immingham explained some of the issues.
At the end of the day, I don't really see this as the government's problem. I think it's the transport company's problems, and as you probably are aware, that we've just come through one of the largest banking crises that any of our generations can remember. I think individuals at home and also businesses have suffered greatly, and people are still repaying and still recovering from what I would call a huge car crash. And therefore, you know, haulage companies haven't got the spare funds really at this moment in time to do the necessary training. I understand that the government has pumped millions of pounds into various other industries that possibly could be classified as more important.
Humberside Police are running a knife amnesty in Beverley, Bridlington, Clough Road, Goole, Grimsby and Scunthorpe police stations. The amnesty will be running for 1 month and will require no form filling or questions asked. The force hopes the initiative will reduce knife crime. Bridlington's recent seafood festival was a huge success, with around 15,000 people turning up for the one-day event. Local councillors have been delighted with its success, saying it brings an awful lot to the seaside town and that they want next year's event to be even better. Sheila Finley spoke to us over the phone about how thrilled they are.
It was absolutely amazing. We were blessed with a fabulous day and everyone came down. There was over 15,000 visitors during the 12 hours. We had lots of events going on, both for adults and for children. We had cookery demonstrations, face painting, and lots of information about the fabulous seashell harbour. Well, it showcases our fabulous harbour and also the shell fishing industry as well. And it also shows people that Bridlington can put on a fabulous event.
That's all from me, and I'll be back with more news soon. Bye for now.
Now, many people like to do something completely different for charity and fundraising, something to get people talking and to share their experiences on social media. Well, Laura Griffin is trying something completely different and she joins me now. Now, you could run a marathon, you could throw yourself out of a plane, but Laura, you've chosen to shave your hair off for charity. Can you first of all tell me why? What's made you want to do that?
I was actually inspired by my friend's 4-year-old little girl who cut her hair off and donated it to the Little Princess Trust. Okay. And with my hair being the length that it is, why not?
And how long is your hair exactly?
I haven't measured it entirely. I was originally planning to cut it to about shoulder length, and that would have been 17 inches. So wow. There's a fair bit more to it.
A fair bit. Now, something like this, have you had to mentally prepare yourself for it?
Not really. I don't think I've really stopped to think about it too much. Okay. I think I'd get incredibly nervous if I did. Okay. But we'll see what happens on the day, I suppose. Okay. I'm sure I'll be nervous close to the time, but
it's for two good charities, two good causes. Tell us the charities that you're doing this for.
The Anthony Nolan Trust. First of all, they match bone marrow donors to patients who have blood cancers, blood disorders, and they match obviously people who need a bone marrow transplant to people that have opted to donate. Okay. And the Little Princess Trust, who make wigs out of real hair donations for children going through cancer treatment. Wow.
I mean, it's an incredible thing what you're doing. Did you think, well, I could maybe run a marathon or do something on the quiet, or was this just something that you thought, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go all out and I'm going to do it properly?
It kind of snowballed. It was just going to start off as a haircut, and then somebody said, why don't you shave your head? And then somebody else said, well, why don't you make it an event and make it a big thing? Obviously, the more you do, the more money you're going to raise for the charities, and it's kind of got bigger and bigger and grown into this. So
The charities themselves have a lot of heartfelt meaning for you, don't they? Can you tell us why?
My sister, when she was 12 years old, she was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, and it was quite rare. It's actually a boys' type of leukemia. It's more popular in boys than it is girls, and it was more or less unheard of around this area as well. And she got a bone marrow donor through Anthony Noland and the work that they do from my brother. He was a match, and she also got a wig from the Little Princess Trust while she was going through her treatment. Wow. So it's just nice to...
What did she think to her wig? I mean, this was how many years ago now?
16 years ago
16 years ago. So what's made you think now's the right time?
I'm 32. I'm not getting any younger. I've got 4 children. I've got 4 children of my own, and why not? My hair's long enough to be able to do something with. So,
are you worried about what other people are going to think?
I'm more worried about what my children might think. I'm more worried. I've got an 18-month-old baby and a 3-year-old. The older 2 will be fine, but the younger 2 I'm a bit worried about waking up first thing in the morning and them kind of jolting, who is this, you know? And that's the kind of thing I think. What
have you done to sort of prepare them for it? Because obviously you've got to prepare yourself, but then like you said with your husband and your children, have you done anything to prepare them to get the heads around it?
Willow's 3 and she wants to cut all her hair off as well. She wants to donate hers, but I've been trying to tell her, look, it's not going to grow back overnight. You can't stick it back on if you change your mind. And at the moment, I think she's not that bothered because she hasn't quite seen what's actually going to happen. Rowan, she's only 18 months, so trying to talk to her, I do talk to her, but obviously I don't know how much she can actually understand. So we're hoping to have them with me at the time.
While you have it done?
So they can see that I am still mummy, I just don't have hair.
Yeah. And like we were talking about earlier, it is just hair, isn't it?
Absolutely.
For regular people like me and you.
Yeah.
And it means a great deal to little children who need a lovely wig.
It gives them anonymity when they're out in public. They don't get stares of, oh, that poor child. And I mean, my sister walking through town with her without a wig on when she was first ill, she'd literally get gasped at, and people would be walking towards them as far away as me and you and go, oh no, bless her. And it was just awful, and she hated being pitted.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
not nice.
You like to, you know, in her situation, you want to blend into the background, obviously, and that was...
She was still herself.
Yeah, of course.
You know, it was something that was happening to her. It wasn't a choice, but it didn't affect who she was either. It was just something.
Now, you've chosen, like we were talking about, 2 separate charities. Do you have an aim or a goal that you want to reach money-wise to raise for these charities?
Well, it costs the Little Princess Trust £360 to make the wigs. So ideally I would like to raise enough so that they don't have to pay for that out of their trust. We did put a total in mind between the 2 of £1,000, and that would be amazing. I won't be disappointed, obviously. If we don't reach it, then we don't reach it, but it would be amazing to get as much as we can for both charities.
Well, don't go anywhere, Laura. We're going to come back to you and we're going to talk more about this event, okay? Stay there. You're watching Estuary News. Coming up later, we find out what's happening in local councils, and Richard Morris will bring you the sports news. The Humber region sees more than 65 million tonnes of cargo pass through its gateway, contributing to billions in the UK economy each year. However, there's currently a national shortage of 65,000 lorry drivers, and we're 3,618 short in our region. Emma Lingard took to the road.
With hauliers facing many challenges, the Chancellor George Osborne offered nothing in his summer budget to assist the industry. Transport lobby group the Road Haulage Association says the lack of investment will undermine the industry, leading to some companies facing closure. In Stallingborough, one haulage company recognises the issues and has felt them. With an ageing workforce desperate to get out, recruitment has never been so intense. The average age of their drivers is 45. The national average is 50. However, the issues are not the government's.
At the end of the day, I don't really see this as the government's problem. I think it's the transport companies' problems, and as you probably are aware, that we've just come through one of the largest banking crises that any of our generations can remember. I think individuals at home and also businesses have suffered greatly, and people are still repaying and still recovering from what I would call a huge car crash. And therefore, you know, haulage companies haven't got the spare funds really at this moment in time to do the necessary training. I understand that the government has pumped millions of pounds into various other industries that possibly could be classified as more important.
Down the road in Immingham, a furniture removal company has also felt the effects of the driver shortage, and it's felt more needs to be done at school in giving out careers advice.
There's no talk in schools or colleges of why don't you become an HGV driver, and I think they might think of it as a career. I can't see why, even if they're not in industry, that the government couldn't lend these young people, just like a student loan, they'll lend people $9,000 to go to university, lend them $3,000 on an interest-free basis to pay back when they've got established. I think that would entice people more into the industry. And of course, you know, that it is not a bad job. It's not the worst job in the world. It's probably not that well paid compared to some, but it's quite pleasant. And I think people just don't think of being an HGV driver.
In the past 5 years, HGV licence applications have dropped by more than 32,000. The cost of getting a licence at $3,000 is putting potential drivers off. And last September, experienced drivers left en masse rather than undertake the new Certificate of Professional Competence. One driver training organisation has noticed a drop in people entering the industry and believes more needs to be done by the government and the insurers.
I can't see the apprenticeship scheme working because they have to do the English and maths and that type of thing, and it doesn't work. We've tried it. I think the government should put a fund together where it can be drawn down, and when employment is gained, that money is paid back.
It remains to be seen what will now happen to prevent the industry grinding to a halt. But if left, then it could be the consumer who will be hit.
Now, still in the studio with me is Laura Griffin, who, as we found out earlier, is shaving her head for charity. Now, the event itself takes place on August the 2nd, doesn't it? Tell us a little bit about where it is, what times, what's going to be going on?
It's at Healing Man Hotel.
Okay.
They've just had a new barn conversion, and they've actually given us the new barn. Wow,
okay.
Yeah, really
That's
generous
pretty cool.
of them to host the event there. So yeah, that's really good. We've had a lot of support really. Memory mascots, they've been a massive help as well. They've donated the disco and they're coming down with their mascots, Mickey, Minnie and a new mascot that I'm not to say.
Okay.
That's a little surprise from the day.
Okay.
But yeah, it's all...
So stalls and bars open?
Yes, fully licensed bar, yeah.
Now
There's a fun
what
fair.
what times are we looking at for the event?
It opens at 11 o'clock
Okay.
in the morning and it finishes around 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
And you're going to be having your head shaved?
Around 3 o'clock.
Around 3 o'clock. So if anybody out there wants to come and donate, can they donate on the day? Can they come and chuck some money in a bucket and watch you nervously having your hair shaved off, bless you?
Yeah, I'm going to be in full view of the public, so anyone can just kind of gather around, take pictures and point and laugh, that's not a problem.
How many people are you expecting?
I've no idea. There's
It'll
plenty
all
there for
tell on the day, won't it?
Yes.
Now the name of the event, which you chose yourself, is Laura's Losing It.
Yeah.
Now I love that. What, can I ask why and what inspired the name?
Yeah, I walk around most days in a bit of a daze. Mum of 4, got 2 cats that don't get on in the same house, and various school runs and chores around the house as well as working myself. So yeah, I'm all the time trying to find my marbles, so if you see them en route.
So you say, I'm just losing it.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. And you physically are losing your hair, so that's why you named it that.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant name. Now you've done this event, because you've organised this on your own from scratch, with help from hubby.
Yes.
Bless him.
Yes.
Brilliant for him to help.
I have had help from Tony from Memory Mascots as well. He's with him donating the disco and the mascots.
Okay.
That's quite a large part of the day as well.
Okay. So with this event and you organising it yourself, because you have organised it yourself, haven't you, from scratch?
Yeah, mainly. I've had help from husband, obviously. He's been very supportive. He's done all the graphics. And also Tony from Memory Mascots as well, with donating the disco and the mascots.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big part of the day.
That's really selfless of him, isn't it? It's
He
really,
raises
really
a lot
lovely.
of money for charity, so they are a good company
That's
to
wonderful.
come on board.
So with events like this, I suppose it's getting contacts and getting people to help you out. Do you have any future plans to do anything else, or any more events or fundraising?
Yes, we have spoke about it, myself and Simon, and we have
Okay.
said, why not do something every year?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be massive every year. This hasn't been a horrendous experience, it's just been busy, it's
Yeah.
not been hard. So it's just, why not? There are a lot of charities out there that are, they go overlooked, you know, they get overlooked a lot. So
The
it's
smaller
just,
charities, the local
Yeah.
charities, which are always deserved of the donations like people like you selflessly give. So, social media wise, Twitter, Facebook, have you been all on?
I don't do Twitter, I'm rubbish. I don't know how to work it. Facebook, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
We've got a Facebook page called Laura's Losing It.
Okay.
So yeah, you just type that in at the top and you can find that, go straight to the page. I keep updates on there, little blogs. I keep going through little emotional things.
I
and
have
keep
had a
updating
little
on
read
that.
actually, and it's really lovely. If you go on there, I would advise people to go and have a look. So it's called Laura's Losing It, isn't it? You type that in on Facebook, it does come up with it. And it's a lovely read about the history of your sister and about why you're doing it, and it's really, really lovely. Are there any phone numbers or anything if anybody wants to ring? Or would you rather them get in touch with you via Facebook?
They can get in touch with me via Facebook. I've got a Just Giving page. That's Laura's Losing It as well.
So if anybody wants to donate or anything like that, they can give straight to the Just Giving. And then on the day.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed, we'll get loads and loads of people turning up. Thank you so much for coming in, and good luck with it, Laura. We'll catch up with you once all your hair's gone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now dashing to the sofa and joining me to discuss what's been happening in the news and local councils is Richard Morris. Hi Richard.
Hello Helen, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. So there's not actually been sort of too much happening in the local councils. Obviously we're heading into the summer break. I mean, obviously Parliament is not currently in session, so there's not too much to report,
It's
but there
all
is a
about
little bit.
the roadworks.
Well, yeah, there's a huge amount of roadworks.
You
can't
can
go
tell
anywhere.
what time of year it is with the amount of roadworks.
I know. But North Lincolnshire Council has produced a report. It's a report on the review of care homes in North Lincolnshire.
Okay.
They're saying that, you know, that the highlighting of the findings that they found is that they really want more information to be shared between care homes. So obviously they're talking about, like, you know, doctors' notes and that kind of thing, we presume. They're also saying that care homes are reporting to them that actually there's loads of paperwork for them to do, and they don't really want to be doing so much paperwork. On top of that, care homes, you know, there's greater emphasis they want on safeguarding procedures, obviously protecting the people who live with them, and also they're a little bit concerned that care homes in North Lincolnshire aren't necessarily getting out their residents. You know, they're not going out, they're not visiting the local area enough, and obviously that's quite important once you reach a certain age. So a little bit interesting just to view.
There's a few points there. I mean, that's not all going to happen overnight, is it?
No, I mean these are changes. I mean it's not exactly stuff that care homes must do, but it's stuff that maybe, you know, those in the North Lincolnshire area might want to have a look at doing. And obviously because the council has put together this report, they'll now start working with the relevant, you know, local communities, that kind of thing.
So what else have you got for us?
Well, we've got some of the stuff happening in East Lindsey District Council. They're having a public forum this evening at about 7 p.m. They're going to be looking at, they're obviously going to be taking, as any public forum, they're going to be taking about 15 minutes of questions from local people. They're going to be looking at neighbourhood policing, Lincolnshire Community and Voluntary Services and that kind of thing. So obviously just general running of things that go on in East Lindsey. And next Wednesday, they're going to be looking at further questions by the public. And this includes things like rural broadband provision. So they've currently spent over £1 million on this in the area, and obviously they're wanting to increase, you know, people's access in East Lindsey to rural broadband. I mean, we live in Grimsby. We forget that actually sort of 30 minutes away, you know, in East Lindsey, some people get really, really terrible internet. So obviously, you know, that's something that they're working on. Turning to stories, we've got some really big investments in the region. The Siemens Hull Blade Factory is going to come online earlier than planned. This is because they've received so many orders for wind turbines out offshore and that kind of thing. They're coming online 2 months earlier.
That's brilliant.
So
Fab stuff.
So 1,000 jobs available to the Hull workers will actually be filled earlier than they previously expected. So
Brilliant. That's fab stuff. Thanks, Richard.
Yeah.
Thank you for all that. Really appreciate it. We're now going to see how quickly he can move and make it into the other studio for the sport.
In last night's football, there were wins for 4 of our local sides. Hull won 3-1 away at Chesterfield. Scunthorpe beat Hartlepool 4-0 in a comfortable win for the Iron, and Grimsby beat Huddersfield 3-1, their second victory over a championship side this pre-season at Blundell Park and 5th victory overall. Danny Clark, Tom Denton and Russell Fry all scored as North Ferry United won 3-0 at Lincoln United. Hull FC have opened new contract negotiations with Australian winger Steve Michaels. It was expected that Michaels would move back home at the end of his current contract once the season has concluded. However, having made an impression on the Black and Whites fans and enjoying his time at the club, it's hoped that the club can come to some agreement to prolong his stay. After some impressive performances at the recent 101st Ashby Show in Leicestershire, Alford rider Sally Dunnett has qualified to take part in the British Show Jumping National Championships. They take part at Stoneleigh Park, Warwickshire between the 11th and 16th of August. Dunnett won the Newperfeed Supplement Senior Discovery second round. And finally, to the shock and delight of local customers, some familiar faces from Hull FC were in their local restaurant. About 10 of the team took over Ask Italian in the city centre on Monday evening as part of Hull and Proud Week. The club is celebrating its 150th anniversary. That's all from me for now, and I'll be back with more sports news soon. If you've got a sports story for us, then please email us sport@estuary.tv. Bye for now.
That's it for tonight. If you've a news story, then visit our Facebook or Twitter pages. Details on the screen, or you can email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 01472 315553. Now, thank you again to my guest Laura. If you would like to find out a little bit more or even to sponsor her, then find her on her Facebook page and her Just Giving page. Until tomorrow, good evening.
I want to see Grimsby put on the map.
Extraordinary qualities, unmatched in anywhere else in Britain.
We need to act with one voice.
I was absolutely shocked, I'll tell you the truth.
More police officer hours spent on patrol preventing crimes from happening.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. Thursday will be dry with some sunny spells and a few isolated showers in the afternoon, and highs of 20 degrees Celsius. Sunny spells on Friday with a few afternoon showers.